When we meet somebody, it's nice to ask them a question or two about their life or their health. And in English, we've got many, many phrases for doing so. But I'm going to give you the 3 top phrases for asking about someone's life or their health when you meet them. But I'm going to focus on intonation, pronunciation, and stress. And pay particular attention to sentence number 3 because there's a relationship between 2 words which you may not be aware of. So, here we go. So the first and probably the most common phrase in English for asking about someone's health or life is, how are you? It sounds pretty obvious to be talking about this, but the pronunciation can be difficult. So if we start with the word how, it starts with a voiceless H, where the vocal folds come together slightly and we get a voiceless sound. It's very, very short though, it's not just short. And then we get the diphthong ow, where the lips start wide. How, and then between the word how and you, we get how and are, we get what's called an intrusive W, where the lips release away from their rounded position at the end of how, and then they open quite suddenly into are. So we get how are you. The R vowel, which I'll talk more about in a moment, is a vowel that is just a single vowel. It's an open space, R. In British English, we don't say R like the Americans or Canadians or Irish or Scottish speakers do. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a different accent, and this video is focusing on standard Southern British English accent and pronunciation. So we would just say how are. Wait. If you're thinking about leaving, I just wanted to let you know that we've got some free courses that I'd love you to steal and make use of to improve your English pronunciation and intonation and word stress. So click this link here and it'll take you to our website. And if you haven't got time now, just bookmark it or even just like this video so that you can find it again when you're next on YouTube. But sorry, I just wanted to let you know. Anyway, if you have to go, I'll see you later. You. So you starts with a yod, where the tongue is up in the middle of the mouth. Yeah, and then it releases into an oo vowel where the lips round. How are you? Now, I said I'd come back to the pronunciation of are because in this context, the word are, there's that little grammatical word, is actually pronounced as a weak form, which means that it's not stressed. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And so a lot of native speakers actually pronounce it just as a schwa, just as an So you'll hear a lot of people saying, how are you? How are you? So not how are you, that would be slightly more emphatic, but how are you? And a schwa is pronounced with the tongue in the middle of the mouth and the lips completely neutral. How are you? How are you? In terms of stress, it would probably be on the word you. I think mostly because it's a personal pronoun and it's directing the question at the person that you're asking it to. So how are you? How are you? And it's a question. So typically in English, in British English, we use an upward inflection to ask questions. How are you? How are you? Yes. You could stress how. How are you? How are you? Yeah. Some people stress how are you? How are you? And all 3 of those are completely fine. I think the most standard way would just be to stress the word are, just to stress the word you with an upward inflection. How are you? How are you? So here is the second of those phrases in English, and it's how are things? How are things? So we've already covered how and are, and the same thing is true here for the word are. It can be reduced to a weak form, so often it's pronounced with a schwa. How are. And things, most of that word, most non-native speakers pronounce completely fine. I guess the TH is often a tricky sound, so let's just spend a second looking at that. The TH is made with the tip of the tongue either between the teeth. That's a pretty common way to do it. But you can also pronounce the TH with the tip of the tongue just behind the back of the top teeth. I don't know if you can see that. whereas that's the first version. Both are fine. They produce pretty much the same sound. So it's really down to you as to which one of those you use. But the big thing is that the tongue only touches really lightly. So don't press the tongue into your teeth. That's a common mistake, to say t, 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 or t, 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 t. So then it sounds a bit more like, almost like a T, like tings, tings, tings. But it's not, it's things. And I achieve that by touching the tongue really lightly against the teeth. Things. And the NG is made with the back of the tongue rising. I don't say nga, ngs. I don't say things, but just things, things. And that S on the end is a Z. I know it's a weird one, but it is. Things, things. So the whole phrase is, how are things? And I think the word things would be the stressed word in this little question. And because it's an upward inflection, because it's a question, sorry, it tends to be, we tend to use an upward inflection. So, how are things? How are things? You do hear some people saying, how are things? How are things? Using a downward inflection. That tends to be a bit more of a sort of, we both know that we're going to ask each other this question about our health or our life, and so it's just a sort of formality in some ways. How are things? Yeah, that's just tell me a little bit more about how things are going. Yeah, it's a kind of standard. We know that we're about to do this, but if it's if you haven't seen someone for a bit of time, and it's just a fresh meeting between you and them, you just say, how are things? How are things? Upward inflection. And the last one is, how's it going? How's it going? So the only addition to the word how is the Z on the end. I know it's written as an S, but it's actually a Z. So it's how's it, how's it. And it is pronounced with a short vowel, not eat, eat. As often Spanish and Italian speakers commonly mispronounce that vowel, but it's it, it's. Yeah, how's it, it. How's it? How's it? Tip of the tongue comes up for the T onto what's called the alveolar ridge, the gum ridge. How's it? How's it? Yeah, and then going, and going starts with a G sound made with the back of the tongue up against the up against the soft palate, and then we get this O vowel, which some people find tricky. O, that's pronounced with the tongue in the middle of the mouth to begin with, in a sort of position of a schwa. G, 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 lips neutral, but then we round our lips. Go, go, yeah? Not go, 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 with lips already rounded, yeah? Or go, 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 but go. Can you see that? I'd slide my lips from one position to another. Often diphthongs are called sliding vowels. And then I get an NG at the end. How's it going? Going. And then my lips release and make a little I, yeah? Go, go, and then an NG at the end. Going, going. I don't say going or going. So that G is silent. I know it's weird, but it's true. Going, going, yeah? I don't pronounce the G at the end. How's it going? Now, I alluded earlier to a special relationship between two words in this last phrase, and it's between it and going. Notice that I don't say the T in the word it. Instead, what I do is I prepare for the G of the word going, and I do that by bringing the back of my tongue up and touching against it against the soft palate, which is the position that I need to be in, ready for the G sound, and I hold it. So it sort of suggests that the T once was there, yeah? I don't say, how's it going, how's it going, how's it going? I say, how's it going, how's it going? Can you see I hold it? How's it going? It's another example of assimilation, which I actually talked about last week. How's it going? How's it going? Can you see that? Ick. It's almost like I want to say ick, but I don't actually release it. How's it going? Yeah, and it's not a sign of sloppy speech or poor speech. It's just part of what's called connected speech. Yeah, if I really needed to be emphatic, I might say, "How's it going, but by and large I would say, how's it going? Yeah, and I would stress going. That would be the stressed word in that phrase. And how's it going could be an upward inflection because it's a question. How's it going? Or as with the previous phrase, I could use a downward inflection. I could say, how's it going? How's it going? Yeah. Again, that might be, I feel particularly comfortable with the person I'm talking to, and it's just something we know we're both going to ask one another. It's a standard exchange. So how's it going? Yeah. But typically speaking, upward inflection because it's a question. How's it going? Yeah. Oh, sorry. How's it going? How's it going? So I hope you found that useful, and if you've got any questions, then scroll down and leave them in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to find it easily again, then click like, and why not subscribe to this channel, because I post weekly videos here every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. GMT local London time, and my co-founder Paul, he posts Word of the Week every Sunday, which is a particular word in English that one of our members or subscribers finds difficult to pronounce. So subscribe to this channel and you'll get at least 2 videos here every week. So I hope to see you here soon.